Happy Saturday, everybody. Got Cal demonstrating for us today. This is your Saturday program. You'll see we are going to start with an 8-minute warm-up for quality. The movements here will get Cal to demonstrate shortly. We're going to be going for running high knees, prisoner good mornings, air squats and jump squats, and sumo deadlift high pulls. So you will need a weighted object of some kind. So on the running high knees, it's 20 reps. You give me 10 per leg. If you have a look at Cal, he's going to give a nice high running knee position, trying to get your knees above the line of your hips. It'll be 10 per side. Going into our prisoner good mornings, you're going to link your fingers behind your head, keep your chest proud, keep your chin elevated, hinge at the hips and drive your hips backwards, trying to get them behind the line of your heels. And please avoid losing that arch in the lower back. You want to make sure there's no rounding at all. There we go. We'd want to try and avoid that as much as possible. Getting tension through the posterior and the hamstrings so you can get a good stretch in there. Only go as low as you are able to according to your hamstrings tension. From there, we're going to move on to 5 air squats, which are just normal bodyweight squats, breaking 90 degrees, standing to a full extension. Once you've done 5, you go straight into 5 jump squats. So now you're going to explosively extend your legs, squeeze your bum, and get your feet off the ground from the tension you're creating through the explosiveness of your hips. Once you've finished there, the last movement you're going to use your weighted object for, it's 3 sumo deadlift high pulls. So the deadlift movement is exactly the same as a normal deadlift movement, except you're actually moving your feet or placing your feet wider than shoulder width. That's your sumo stance. The rest of the deadlift will be exactly the same, except you're going to aggressively extend your hips at the top and pull your elbows up higher than your shoulders. So you want your weighted object to get to sort of just below the chin, and you want your elbows to be above shoulder height as you extend through the hips aggressively, squeezing your bum and locking your knees out straight. Good job. You can use either a dumbbell or a kettlebell for this. If you're using a backpack, you can just hold onto the handle, and same movements. You just need to make sure that with Callum's there, the backpack's a bit high, so he's holding it slightly differently. You might need to just manipulate your grip on an odder object than a kettlebell or a dumbbell. So from there, after you've done 3 of those, you're going to move back to your running high knees, and you're going to keep moving through that sequence for 8 minutes. And once you're done, you can move on to the conditioning piece, which we'll get to shortly. Welcome back, everybody. You have just finished off your warm-up. We're going to move on to the conditioning piece for Saturday. It is 5 rounds today, and you have been allocated 4 minutes for every round. So the idea here is that you finish your movements for each round before the round is done, so that you can have time to rest before you start your next round. So your 5 rounds, each round will consist of either 50 double unders or 75 single skips. If you don't have a skipping rope, or if you don't have space to skip, you can do the mop hop. So hop up and slap your legs as your feet leave the ground. This is a great way to practice timing, so that when you get back onto the skipping rope, you can comfortably get that timing and rhythm right. So you'll give me 75 single skips. If you're doing doubles, it's only 50. Into 20 sumo deadlift high pulls. Now this is the one that we did in the warm-up as well. Cal's going to give us one more visual there. Deadlift with a wide stance, aggressively extend the hips and pull your elbows up nice and high, getting that odd object or weighted object to just below your chin. The movement here is not supposed to be dominated by your arms, you guys. You're supposed to be using your legs and your bum and the aggressiveness with which you extend your hips, and that should create the momentum that floats your object up to below your chin. The last movement is 70 mountain climbers. This will be divided between your 2 legs. It's 35 per leg. So you're going to start in a plank or push-up position, and you're going to run your knees to your elbows, trying your best to get your knees to actually touch your elbows or your triceps. And you're going to divide that 35 per leg, keeping a nice consistent pace there. That should get the heart rate up a little bit. Once you've finished your mountain climbers, whatever time is left in your 4-minute interval, you'll get to rest, and your next 4-minute interval you'll start again at your skipping, and you'll do that for 5 rounds in total. We'll be back shortly. Enjoy it, guys, and try and keep to the same time cap for each one. If you finish your first 4-minute interval in, let's say, 3 minutes, for example, try and match or beat that time every time you do your next interval. Have fun, guys. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that piece that we just finished there, your 5 rounds on the 4 minutes. Moving on to the last bit for our Saturday. We're doing an accessory piece. It's targeting the posterior chain. And you'll see this is 3 sets of 2 different kinds of movements, and we're looking for quality here, guys. So don't treat this like a workout where you're rushing and trying to finish movements as quickly as possible. This piece is meant to be done nice and slowly and controlled, and take rests in between your sets that you do. So the 2 movements we'll be doing, you'll see on your PDF it mentions 3 sets of 21 weighted glute bridges, and also 3 sets of 9 weighted wide stance good mornings. I want you to complete all 3 sets of your glute bridges back to back before you start your 3 sets of your wide stance good mornings. So don't superset them. Finish all 3 of the glute bridge sets before you start your wide stance good mornings. So if you have a look at Callum, the glute bridges, you're going to lie on your back, get your heels nice and close to your bum. Your weighted object you'll place on your hips, whether it's a kettlebell or a backpack or a dumbbell. From here, lift your chin towards your chest. You want to get your head off the ground. That'll activate the core nicely. And now your glute bridge will happen. You're going to drive through the heels, push the hips up, squeeze the bum, and then drop back down to the floor. And again, drive up, squeeze the bum, and drop back down to the ground. So avoid your head going back onto the floor. You want to keep your chin towards your chest, and you want to make sure that you get your hips as high as you can in that glute bridge every single time, squeezing your butt super, super tight. You'll do 21 of those, bearing in mind if your weight starts getting a little spicy, you can always drop the weight and do a body weight version of this movement. It's still very effective. Here comes Freshie to check on Callum. So you don't have to do a weighted glute bridge here, but I think you'd be surprised. Your glutes are very strong and you'll be able to put a decent amount of weight on your hips. After your 21 weighted glute bridges, you're going to do 3 sets there. Make sure you rest about 1.5 minutes between each set of 21. I then want you to move on to your 9 weighted wide stance good mornings. So you're going to get nice and wide here, similar to your sumo deadlift high pull, so wider than shoulder width. You're going to hold your weighted object at your chest. When you go down, you're going to hinge forward now, keeping the chest proud, same as our good morning movement in the warm-up, but the stance you're using now is wide. So it's the same as any other good morning movements. You're just moving your feet wider. It targets a slightly different area in the posterior chain and gets a little deeper into that hip stretch. And keeping that object at your chest stays proud. You still keep the arch in the lower back, and your depth will be determined by the flexibility or mobility in your hamstrings. Cal's just demonstrating an odd object version. If you have a backpack with some weight loaded in it, same thing, hold the chest tight, exactly the same movement, hinge the hips back, keep the chest proud, and only go as low as your hamstrings will allow you. That will be 3 sets of 9 movements or 9 reps in total. And once you've completed that, you can move on to your recovery for the day. There are 3 stretches we've added there. All of them have got links. If you're unsure what to do, you can follow the links, and you can always contact Shane or I if you have any further questions. Very well done, everybody. Happy Saturday. Enjoy your Sunday, and we will see you guys on Monday again. Have a cool weekend.